Imagine walking through a giant gate, tall as a skyscraper, with the words Jurassic Park written across the top. Beyond the gate, you can hear strange animal sounds. Some are deep and rumbling like a lion's growl, while others are high-pitched like birds calling to each other. But these aren't lions or birds. They're dinosaurs, huge, long-necked ones stretching up to nibble tree leaves, sharp-toothed hunters hiding in the bushes, and even armored ones with tails like swinging clubs. That's the world of Jurassic Park, a place where scientists brought dinosaurs back to life using tiny bits of DNA, the code inside every living thing. It's exciting, but also scary, because dinosaurs are wild, powerful, and not meant to live in our world anymore. Now, people who love Jurassic Park often wonder, what if? What if something different happened in the movies? What if the dinosaurs made other choices? What if the park had worked perfectly? Or if humans found a way to live with dinosaurs instead of fighting them? These are called theories and what-if stories. They're fun to think about because they let us imagine new adventures with our favorite dinos. So let's explore some of the most interesting what-if stories about Jurassic Park. First, imagine this. What if Jurassic Park never failed? In the movie, the power goes out, the fences break, and the dinosaurs escape. But what if none of that happened? What if the park stayed safe with strong fences and careful keepers? Guests could ride in cars and see dinosaurs walking around, just like going to a zoo, but a million times cooler. If Jurassic Park had stayed safe, kids might have gone there for school trips. Scientists could have studied the dinosaurs closely to learn how they really lived. Maybe we'd know exactly how T-Rex hunted, or how fast a velociraptor could run. Maybe we'd discover if some dinosaurs really had bright feathers like parrots. And maybe, just maybe, humans and dinosaurs could have learned to live side by side. But then we have to think, would the dinosaurs really stay calm? Imagine thousands of people coming every day, cheering and pointing. Some dinosaurs might get annoyed. A big T-Rex might roar and smash its fence, even if the park was well built. A raptor might figure out how to open doors, just like in the movie. Even in the best version of Jurassic Park, there's always a chance that something could go wrong. After all, dinosaurs aren't tame pets. They're wild animals from a different time. Here's another fun what if. What if the dinosaurs never went extinct millions of years ago? Imagine you wake up, put on your shoes, and walk outside, and there's a triceratops eating grass by your mailbox. You ride your bike to school, and on the way you pass a herd of stegosaurs stomping across the road. Your teacher has to stop class because a flock of flying pteranodons is circling the playground. If dinosaurs were still here, humans might have grown up with them, just like we did with cows, horses, and chickens. Some dinos might have become farm animals. Maybe people would ride hadrosaurs instead of horses. Maybe small raptors would be like hunting dogs, helping people track food. But some dinosaurs, like T-Rex or Spinosaurus, would be too dangerous. Whole cities might have giant walls to keep them out. People might build machines to protect themselves from giant stomping feet. The whole world would look different, shaped not just by humans but by dinosaurs too. Another what if people love to think about is, what if the scientists in Jurassic Park brought back even more kinds of prehistoric animals? Dinosaurs weren't the only amazing creatures from long ago. There were giant flying reptiles, sea monsters with long necks and teeth like knives, and even giant insects the size of eagles. Imagine Jurassic Park having a huge aquarium with mosasaurs swimming around, snapping their jaws at fish. Or a giant terrarium where dragonfly-sized bugs buzzed around, bigger than your hand. The park would be more like a whole prehistoric world, not just a dinosaur zoo. Of course, that could also be scarier. A giant sea monster could break out of its tank and head for the open ocean. A swarm of giant bugs could escape and take over the skies. Jurassic Park would be even harder to control. That's the fun part about these stories. Every what if has two sides. On one side, you can imagine how amazing it would be, full of wonder and discovery. On the other side, you can see how dangerous it could get, with humans trying to control creatures that were never meant to live in our time. So when we think about Jurassic Park theories, we're really asking big questions. Can humans handle that much power? Could we live with dinosaurs, or would it always end in disaster? Would we respect them, or just try to use them for money and entertainment? So when we think about Jurassic Park theories, we're really asking big questions. Can humans handle that much power? Could we live with dinosaurs, or would it always end in disaster? Would we respect them, or just try to use them for money and entertainment? The dinosaurs themselves don't care about our questions. They just live, eat, and survive. But imagining these what-ifs helps us see what might happen if humans ever got the chance to bring back something so big, so powerful, and so ancient. Raptors are some of the most famous dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. They're not the biggest, like the T-Rex, and they don't have long necks like Brachiosaurus, but they have something even scarier: brains. In the movies, the raptors are shown as clever hunters that work in groups. They set traps, open doors, and chase people like wolves chasing prey. But here's a big what if. What if the raptors were even smarter than we think? What if, instead of being like wolves, they were more like humans, or even smarter than humans? First, let's imagine what that would look like on the island. Instead of just hunting, raptors could make plans. They could look at the fences and think, how do we get past this? Maybe they'd test the wires like they did in the movie, but then go even further. They could sneak around and find weak spots in the park. They might hide and wait for humans to make mistakes. If the raptors were as smart as us, they wouldn't just hunt. They'd build. Maybe they'd find sticks, rocks, and bones to use as tools. Imagine a group of raptors carrying branches to block a door or to build a nest fortress. They could climb into buildings and take over control rooms. With enough time, they could even learn how to use machines. Think about that for a moment. A raptor sitting in front of a control panel, watching the park cameras and learning how to shut off fences. A raptor pressing buttons to release other dinosaurs from their pens. That's not just an animal anymore. That's an army general, planning battles and taking over the whole island. Now, let's push this idea further. If raptors were super smart, what would they want? Would they try to escape the island and spread across the world? Or would they stay in Jurassic Park, turning it into their own kingdom? Maybe the raptors would see humans as rivals, not just food. They'd attack scientists and guards not because they were hungry, but because they wanted the park for themselves. The raptors could take control of certain areas, like the visitor center or the jungle fields, and keep humans away. Over time, raptors might even develop their own society. They could have leaders, like alpha raptors who decide what to do. They might create safe places for eggs and train younger raptors how to hunt smarter. They'd stop being just dinosaurs and start being something new, a mix of animal instincts and human-like intelligence. But here's where it gets even more interesting. What if humans noticed how smart the raptors were, and instead of fighting them, tried to work with them? Imagine scientists teaching raptors to communicate using symbols or simple words. Maybe raptors could tap on screens or use sounds to talk. Food, water, danger, or even friend. It's a little scary, but also exciting. If raptors could learn to communicate, humans might try to make peace with them. We might trade food for safety, or even team up to protect the island. Humans and raptors could live side by side, not as zoo animals and keepers, but as two different species working together. Of course, it might not be that simple. Raptors might decide they don't need humans at all. If they're smarter, faster, and stronger, why share the island? In that case, humans would be the ones trapped, living in small safe zones while raptors roamed free. Jurassic Park would no longer belong to people. It would belong to the dinosaurs. And here's another twist. What if the raptors didn't stop at the island? If they found a way to escape, maybe by sneaking onto a boat or hiding in a plane, they could spread across the world. Imagine raptors showing up in cities, not just hunting but making plans. They'd learn how to avoid traps, how to take food, even how to use our technology. The whole world could slowly turn into a place ruled by raptors. That sounds scary, but it also makes us think about what it means to be the smartest species. Right now, humans are the top of the food chain because of our brains. We invent things, solve problems, and build cities. But if dinosaurs like raptors were just as smart, we wouldn't be at the top anymore. We'd have to share or fight to survive. So this what if shows us something important. Jurassic Park isn't just about dinosaurs escaping. It's about what happens when humans lose control. If raptors were super smart, they'd remind us that intelligence isn't just our gift. It could belong to other creatures too. And once that happens, the whole balance of the world changes. In the end, maybe the raptors would become rulers of Jurassic Park, with humans as their neighbors. Or maybe their prey. Either way, it would be a completely different story. One where dinosaurs aren't just brought back to life. They take over. When most people think about dinosaurs and humans together, they picture running and screaming, people hiding while dinosaurs chase them. That's what happens in Jurassic Park when the animals escape. But what if the story was completely different? What if, instead of fighting, humans and dinosaurs learned to live together peacefully? Let's imagine that for a moment. The first step would be trust. Dinosaurs wouldn't understand humans at first, and humans would be scared of dinosaurs. But what if scientists found ways to train and care for dinosaurs like we do with dogs, horses, and elephants today? If a triceratops grew up around humans from the moment it hatched, it might see people as part of its herd. It could learn to follow commands, walk beside humans, and even help with heavy work, like pulling carts or carrying supplies. Imagine a farm where a family keeps hadrosaurs, the duck-billed plant eaters, instead of cows. They'd graze in the fields, and maybe humans could even ride them like giant dinosaurs' horses. Children might take care of baby stegosaurs the way kids take care of puppies or kittens. The bond between humans and dinosaurs could grow stronger with each generation. In cities, life would be very different. Streets would need to be wider, with big pathways for dinosaurs to walk. Special buildings could be made for long-necked dinosaurs, with tall feeding stations full of leaves. Police might ride raptors instead of motorbikes, guiding them with whistles and hand signals. Firefighters might train pteranodons to carry hoses or lift people from tall buildings. If humans and dinosaurs lived together peacefully, our entire world would look and feel different. We'd need to change everything: transportation, farming, even sports. Imagine a dinosaur race where kids cheer for their favorite Gallimimus sprinting across the track. Or imagine a basketball-style game, but played on the backs of triceratops. It would be wild but fun. But there's still a big challenge. Dinosaurs are much, much bigger and stronger than humans. A gentle tail swipe from a brachiosaurus could knock down a wall by accident. A T-Rex could crush a car just by stepping on it. So peaceful living wouldn't mean making dinosaurs act like small pets. Instead, it would mean learning to respect them. People would need to create rules, just like we do with wildlife today. Some dinosaurs would be too dangerous to live in cities. They'd have to stay in giant nature parks, where humans could visit them safely. The biggest predators, Spinosaurus, T-Rex, and Giga. Not everyone would agree on whether they should be near humans at all. Some people might argue that they're too risky, while others might believe they deserve a chance too. And what about communication? Humans and dinosaurs can't talk with words, but scientists could study their sounds, body language, and behaviors. Maybe we'd learn that triceratops make special calls to warn their friends about danger, or that raptors use clicks and growls to signal each other. If humans learned those sounds, we could talk to dinosaurs in simple ways. Imagine calling your raptor with a whistle, or calming a T-Rex with a deep drumbeat that it recognizes as peaceful. Now, here's an interesting what-if twist. If humans and dinosaurs worked together, could we solve problems in the world today? For example, giant plant eaters could clear forests that are too thick for machines. Flying reptiles could carry messages or small packages across long distances. Even dangerous predators might help keep other animal populations under control, keeping ecosystems balanced. On the other hand, some humans might try to use dinosaurs in harmful ways. Instead of keeping peace, they might train raptors as weapons or force giant carnivores to fight each other for entertainment. That could create a big divide. Some people wanting harmony with dinosaurs, others wanting to control them. Peaceful living would only work if everyone agreed that dinosaurs weren't tools, but partners. And imagine the future if this worked. Kids might grow up with dinosaur friends the way we grow up with pets. You'd have stories not just about playing fetch with your dog, but about flying through the sky on a friendly pteranodon. You might see scientists and dinosaurs working together to explore deep jungles or frozen mountains. Humans would no longer be the only rulers of Earth. We'd share it with creatures from another time. Thinking about this peaceful world helps us ask big questions. Could humans really change enough to live with such powerful creatures? Could we give up some control and accept dinosaurs as equals, not just as attractions or threats? And would dinosaurs even want to live with us, or would they prefer to roam free? The Tyrannosaurus Rex is probably the most famous dinosaur in the world. It's huge, with a giant head, sharp teeth, and a roar that shakes the ground. In Jurassic Park, the T-Rex is shown as a terrifying predator, chasing cars, smashing fences, and hunting people. But at the end of the first movie, something amazing happens. The T-Rex fights the raptors and saves the humans without even knowing it. So here's a fun what if. What if the T-Rex wasn't just the scariest dinosaur in the park, but the hero of the story? Let's imagine that version. At first, people would still be afraid of the T-Rex. After all, it's massive and can crush almost anything in its path. But what if, deep down, the T-Rex wasn't hunting humans at all? What if it just wanted to protect its territory and keep other predators away? If that's true, then when the raptors start causing chaos, the T-Rex would step in as a defender. Picture this. The raptors chase people into the visitor center, cornering them with their sharp claws and clever teamwork. Just when it looks like there's no escape, the T-Rex bursts through a wall. Instead of attacking the humans, it goes straight for the raptors. Its giant jaws snap shut, and the raptors scatter in fear. The humans escape, not because of their own strength, but because the T-Rex became their unexpected guardian. If the T-Rex kept acting this way, people might start to see it differently. Instead of being the monster of Jurassic Park, it would become something like the island's protector. Sure, it would still be dangerous. No one wants to be stepped on by accident. But the humans might realize that as long as they respect the T-Rex, it might keep them safe from even worse threats. Now, let's think about how that story could grow. Maybe the scientists notice that the T-Rex keeps showing up whenever raptors are near people. They begin to wonder, is it just a coincidence? Or does the T-Rex see humans as part of its territory? Maybe, in the T-Rex's mind, protecting humans from raptors is the same as protecting its hunting ground. To the dinosaur, people aren't prey, they're part of its kingdom. Over time, humans could start to trust the T-Rex. Imagine scientists leaving food for it, not to trap it, but as a gift. The T-Rex roars, not in anger, but in recognition. It begins to understand that these small creatures, humans, are not enemies. They might even be allies. And if the T-Rex was the hero, the whole Jurassic Park story would flip upside down. Instead of being afraid of the T-Rex, the characters would cheer when it showed up. In the movies, people often scream when they hear its roar. But in this version, the roar would be like a signal of hope, a warning that danger for the humans is about to end. Of course, the T-Rex wouldn't be a perfect hero. It's still wild, still unpredictable. There would always be accidents. Maybe it charges after a raptor and knocks down a building. Maybe it roars so loud that it scares everyone nearby. But heroes aren't perfect. They're just the ones who step up when it matters most. And in this what if, the T-Rex becomes the hero not by choice, but by nature. Now think about what that would mean for the future. If the T-Rex became known as the protector, people might actually build the park around it. Instead of cages and fences, the T-Rex would be free to roam its territory. Visitors could watch it from safe towers, not as a prisoner, but as the king of the island. Other dinosaurs might even stay away from areas where the T-Rex lives, making those places safer for humans. There's also the possibility that the T-Rex's role as a hero could spread beyond the island. If people ever tried to move dinosaurs to the mainland, they might bring the T-Rex along as a sort of guardian. Imagine a city where smaller dinosaurs live with humans, but whenever danger appears, like raptors escaping, the T-Rex arrives to save the day. It would be like having a living, roaring superhero. But here's the tricky part. Could humans really live with the idea of a giant predator as their protector? Would they trust the T-Rex, or would they always be afraid it might turn on them? That's the heart of this what if. Sometimes the scariest creature can also be the one that saves us. So in this version of Jurassic Park, the T-Rex isn't just a dinosaur, it's the hero of the island. The one that humans, and maybe even other dinosaurs, look up to. Instead of ending the story with fear, it ends with respect, and maybe even gratitude for the king of the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs ruled the land, but they weren't the only amazing creatures from prehistoric times. In the oceans, there were giant predators like the Mosasaurus, with teeth like knives and bodies as long as buses. In the air, there were flying reptiles like the pteranodons. Jurassic Park focused a lot on land dinosaurs, but what if the sea monsters escaped into the real world? Let's imagine that. In the movies, we see the Mosasaurus living in a giant tank, splashing out of the water to eat sharks, and even surprising people on the edge of the arena. It's already terrifying in that setting. But what if the Mosasaurus escaped into the open ocean? Suddenly, the entire balance of life in the sea would change. First, think about ships. A creature as big as a Mosasaurus could easily flip a boat, just like a toy in a bathtub. Fishermen, sailors, even cruise ships would all be in danger. Imagine families sailing across the ocean only for a giant shadow to rise up beneath their boat. One snap of its jaws and the ship would be gone. Travel by sea would become far too dangerous. Then there's the problem of food. A Mosasaurus is huge. It would need to eat constantly. Sharks, whales, schools of fish, even other sea reptiles would be on the menu. That much hunting would throw the ocean's ecosystem out of balance. If too many whales or fish disappeared, humans would struggle too, because we rely on the ocean for food. One sea monster could change the entire fishing industry forever. But what if there were more than one? If scientists cloned a group of mosasaurs and they all escaped, the oceans would no longer belong to humans at all. They'd belong to the sea monsters. The days of safe swimming, surfing, or fishing would be over. Even standing on the beach might be dangerous, because mosasaurs could lunge close to shore, snapping up anything that moved. Now, let's think about how humans might react. At first, governments would panic. They might send submarines and warships to track down the Mosasaurus. They'd try to fight it with torpedoes, nets, or traps. But the ocean is huge, and a creature that big could disappear into the depths for weeks, only to reappear somewhere unexpected. Unlike land dinosaurs, which are trapped on islands, sea monsters could travel anywhere in the world. Imagine the news. Mosasaurus spotted off the coast of Australia. A week later, Mosasaurus attacks fishing boats in Alaska. A month later, Mosasaurus near Hawaii. People would live in constant fear, never knowing where it might strike next. But there's another side to this. What if? What if humans tried to live with sea monsters instead of fighting them? Scientists might study their movements and learn to predict where they travel. Maybe entire areas of the ocean would be marked as Mosasaurus zones, where no one is allowed to go. Humans could build special underwater observation towers like giant aquariums, where people could safely watch these creatures in the wild. Some people might even worship the sea monsters, treating them like ancient gods of the ocean. Just like how people in the past told stories about dragons and sea serpents, future humans might tell stories about the Mosasaurus. Respect the sea, they would say, because the monster rules it. And here's another twist. What if the Mosasaurus wasn't alone? There were many other prehistoric sea creatures, pliosaurs with massive jaws, long-necked Elasmosaurus, and giant sharks like Megalodon. If Jurassic Park had brought them back too, the oceans would become a living prehistoric world. Humans would have to give up control of the seas, watching from the shore as monsters from the past ruled the waves. It's a chilling thought, but also fascinating. The land might still belong to humans, but the ocean would belong to the dinosaurs of the deep. Our world would be divided, humans on land, sea monsters in the water. Crossing from one to the other would always be a risk. So this what if reminds us of something important. The ocean is already powerful and mysterious. Even today, we don't fully understand what lives in its darkest places. Adding a creature like the Mosasaurus would make it even more dangerous, but also more full of wonder. Would we try to destroy it or learn to live with it? Would we fear the sea forever or respect it as the home of the most powerful creature on Earth?
Dinosaurs ruled the land, sea monsters ruled the oceans, but in the skies, there were flying reptiles. The most famous ones are pteranodons, huge creatures with wings wider than a car, sharp beaks, and loud screeches that echo through the air. They aren't technically dinosaurs, but they lived at the same time, and in Jurassic Park, they play a big role in some of the scariest scenes. Now let's imagine a what if. What if pteranodons escaped into the real world and began to take over the skies? At first, people might not think it's a big deal. A few flying reptiles here and there would be scary, but maybe we could chase them away. But the truth is, pteranodons would change everything about how we live. First, think about airplanes. Pteranodons would see them as giant birds flying through their territory. They might attack, thinking they're rivals or food. Imagine a passenger plane flying high above the clouds when suddenly a group of pteranodons swarms around it, pecking at the windows and scratching at the wings. Flying across the world would no longer be safe. Airports would have to shut down, and people would be stuck traveling only by land or sea. Next, think about cities. Skyscrapers would become nesting spots for pteranodons. They'd perch on rooftops, watching everything below, just like hawks or eagles today. If they saw people carrying food, they might dive down and snatch it away. Parks, playgrounds, and beaches would be dangerous places because a hungry flying reptile could swoop down without warning. Even farming would change. Chickens, cows, and sheep would all be easy targets for pteranodons. Farmers would have to build giant cages or netted roofs to protect their animals. Without protection, whole farms could be wiped out in a single day. But what would it be like for regular people? Imagine kids walking to school while keeping an eye on the sky, holding umbrellas or shields to protect themselves from sudden attacks. Imagine families building strong roofs over their backyards so they could play outside safely. Even sports like soccer or baseball might have to move indoors because the skies wouldn't belong to humans anymore. They'd belong to the pteranodons. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. If pteranodons took over the skies, they wouldn't just live near people, they'd spread across the world. In coastal areas, they'd hunt fish by diving into the water. In deserts, they'd travel long distances looking for food. They could even follow migrating animals, making them nearly impossible to control. And don't forget, they wouldn't be alone. In the prehistoric world, there were many kinds of flying reptiles. Some were small, like seagulls. Others, like Quetzalcoatlus, were as tall as giraffes, with wings wider than small airplanes. Imagine those giants soaring through the clouds, casting huge shadows on the ground. If they returned, the skies would be completely transformed into a prehistoric world again. So, could humans fight back? Maybe we'd use nets, drones, or even laser systems to protect airplanes. Cities might build domes of glass or mesh to keep the flying reptiles out. But those solutions would be expensive, and pteranodons are smart. They'd learn to avoid traps, sneak through weak spots, and keep coming. There's another what if to think about. Instead of fighting them, what if humans tried to live with them? Scientists could study their calls and learn how they communicate. Maybe we could train some of them, like giant falcons. Imagine a rescue team flying with trained pteranodons to deliver supplies to hard-to-reach places, or soldiers using them to scout over mountains and forests. Just like in the past when humans worked with horses and dogs, maybe we could work with flying reptiles too. But peaceful living wouldn't be easy. A wild pteranodon might never trust humans fully. They're hunters, and their instincts are strong. Even if some could be trained, others would always be a threat. So, humans would have to decide, do we risk sharing the skies, or do we try to take them back? One thing's for sure, if pteranodons ruled the skies, the world would never look the same. Every time you looked up, instead of birds or airplanes, you'd see giant wings circling overhead. The sound of their screeches would echo through every city and town. The sky, which feels so open and free to us now, would suddenly feel crowded and dangerous. So this what if shows us something powerful. Jurassic Park isn't just about dinosaurs on the ground. If the flying reptiles escaped, it wouldn't just change a park, it would change the entire planet. Humans might rule the land, but the skies would belong to something far older, far stronger, and far wilder. When we think about Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs are always the same creatures from the past. T-Rex, velociraptors, triceratops, and so on. But what if, after escaping into the real world, dinosaurs didn't stay the same? What if they began to evolve again, changing and adapting to our modern world, just like animals have done for millions of years? Let's imagine that. At first, the dinosaurs would be the same as we know them, huge, wild, and dangerous. But nature is always changing. Animals today adapt to survive, and dinosaurs would do the same. The world now is very different from the time they lived before. The climate, the plants, and the other animals. Dinosaurs would need to adjust if they wanted to survive. For example, think about velociraptors. In the movies, they're already smart and fast, but if they lived in today's world for a long time, they might become even smarter. Maybe they'd learn to avoid cars, sneak into farms at night, and use teamwork to outsmart traps. Some scientists think that if dinosaurs had never gone extinct, some of them might have evolved brains almost as big as ours. So what if raptors became as smart as people, learning to solve problems, build nests with tools, and even communicate in new ways? Or imagine the T-Rex. It's huge and scary, but in today's world, big animals sometimes struggle to survive because they need so much food. If T-Rexes lived for hundreds of thousands of years, maybe they'd evolve to be a little smaller and faster, so they could survive on less. Instead of being 40 feet long, maybe future Rexes would be closer to the size of elephants, but quicker, with better eyesight. A smaller, smarter T-Rex might be even harder to stop. Plant-eating dinosaurs would change too. Triceratops and stegosaurs used to eat ferns and plants from their time, but those plants don't exist anymore. They have to adapt to modern grass, crops, and trees. Over time, their jaws might change shape, and their bodies might adjust to new diets. Imagine a triceratops with tougher teeth for chewing cornfields, or a stegosaurus with a longer neck to reach tree branches. Farmers would have to build stronger fences, or risk losing their crops to herds of evolving dinosaurs. And then there's the possibility of feathers. Scientists already believe many dinosaurs had feathers, like early birds. If they evolved today, those feathers might become brighter and more colorful, like peacocks or parrots, to help them attract mates or scare predators. Imagine a raptor with shimmering rainbow feathers swooping through the forest, hunting in silence until it bursts out in a flash of color. Dinosaurs could become even more beautiful and even more frightening. But here's a bigger what if. What if dinosaurs mixed with modern animals? Nature sometimes combines species through evolution. If dinosaurs escaped and spread across the world, they might encounter birds, reptiles, and mammals, and over many years, new hybrids could appear. Picture a raptor-bird mix, small enough to fly through the air but still with claws sharp enough to hunt. Or a dinosaur-crocodile mix that rules the rivers, bigger and stronger than anything we know today. Some hybrids might be harmless, like small, feathery plant eaters that live in backyards, but others might be unstoppable, blending the speed of modern animals with the power of ancient dinosaurs. If this happened, the whole world would start to change. Forests, cities, deserts, and oceans would all have new rulers. Humans would no longer be the only species at the top of the food chain. We'd have to share it with dinosaurs that were no longer stuck in the past, but evolving into the future. So how would people react? Some might try to fight and stop the dinosaurs before they change too much. Others might want to study them, hoping to understand how evolution works and fast forward. And maybe, just maybe, some humans would learn to live with them, training evolving dinosaurs the way we train dogs or horses today. Imagine future kids walking feathered raptors on leashes or riding smaller, quicker Rexes down the street. But there's also a scary side. If dinosaurs kept evolving, they might one day become smarter than us. What if raptors learned to make tools or Rexes learned to hunt in teams? Humans might no longer be in control of the Earth. We'd have to compete with creatures that were not only strong and fast, but also intelligent and adaptable. So this what if shows us something exciting, but also a little scary. Dinosaurs wouldn't stay frozen in time. They'd keep changing, just like everything else in nature. And if they did, our world might one day look like something out of science fiction. A future where dinosaurs aren't just from the past, but part of what's coming next. In Jurassic Park, the scientists didn't just bring back dinosaurs. They also experimented with their DNA. They filled in missing pieces with frog DNA, which is why the dinosaurs could change in surprising ways. But here's a big what if. What if humans went even further and started creating hybrid dinosaurs on purpose? Let's imagine that. At first, the idea might sound exciting. Scientists could mix dinosaur DNA with other animals to create brand new creatures. Maybe they'd want to make the dinosaurs safer, smaller, or easier to control. For example, they might mix a velociraptor with bird DNA to make it less dangerous, or give a triceratops elephant-like skin to protect it from injuries. But the problem is, once you start mixing DNA, you can't always predict the results. Imagine a dinosaur with the wings of a bat, the claws of a raptor, and the speed of a cheetah. That's not safer, that's terrifying. Instead of making friendlier dinosaurs, scientists might end up creating creatures that are even harder to stop. Now let's think about what kinds of hybrids people might make. One idea could be super dinosaurs, giant predators with mixed features to make them stronger. A T-Rex with raptor intelligence, for example, would be a nightmare. It would have the size and power of the king of dinosaurs, but also the clever teamwork and problem-solving skills of raptors. Another hybrid might mix a Spinoceros with crocodile DNA, making it able to survive both on land and in water. That kind of monster could attack anywhere, rivers, oceans, even city harbors. But not all hybrids would have to be scary. Some scientists might want to create friendly hybrids to live with humans. Maybe a small plant-eating dinosaur mixed with cat DNA, making it calm, curious, and cuddly. Families might adopt them as pets, raising mini dinosaurs in their homes. Or maybe a large hybrid, like a triceratops mixed with horse DNA, could be used for farm work or transportation, carrying people across fields. It sounds fun, but there's still danger. Hybrids might look safe at first, but their dinosaur instincts could appear when least expected. Imagine a pet raptor-cat hybrid suddenly deciding to hunt the neighbor's chickens, or a triceratops horse hybrid charging through a fence because it was startled. Even with hybrid DNA, dinosaurs would still have wildness inside them. Now let's imagine what the world would look like if hybrids became common. Zoos might not only have lions and elephants, they'd also have creatures no one had ever seen before. Theme parks could show off colorful hybrids with feathers, glowing scales, or giant wings. Kids might even visit hybrid pet stores, where they could choose their own mini dino companion. But the problem is, once hybrids exist, it would be very hard to control who makes them. Scientists in one country might create gentle plant eaters, while others might build terrifying predator hybrids as weapons. Imagine armies using raptor hybrids trained to follow commands, or flying hybrids swooping down on battlefields. Wars could change forever, with humans and hybrid dinosaurs fighting side by side, or against each other. And here's another what if. What if the hybrids became so strong and smart that they didn't want to listen to humans anymore? If a hybrid had the brainpower of a raptor and the power of a T-Rex, it might escape and build its own pack. Over time, hybrids might not just survive, they could take over. Humans would no longer be the only ones creating hybrids. The creatures might start evolving on their own, mixing traits in ways no one expected. That's the biggest risk of all. Once hybrids exist, nature might take over. New species would spread across the world, combining features of animals from today and dinosaurs from the past. The Earth would fill with creatures that never existed before. Some beautiful, some terrifying, all unpredictable. So this what if makes us think about responsibility. Just because humans can create hybrids, should we? Would it be worth the risks, or would it lead to chaos? Jurassic Park already showed us that bringing back dinosaurs is dangerous. Mixing them with other animals could make something even worse. In the end, hybrid dinosaurs could either become amazing partners for humans, or the beginning of a whole new age where humans are no longer in charge. Imagine waking up one morning, looking out your window, and seeing a huge T-Rex walking down the street. Birds are gone, replaced by pteranodons soaring overhead. Triceratops graze in the parks, and velociraptors dart between buildings like shadows. The world has changed. Dinosaurs have taken back the Earth, and humans have to survive in their world. This is the ultimate what if. After escaping from Jurassic Park, dinosaurs spread across continents, oceans, and skies. They adapt to every environment, evolving to survive in cities, forests, deserts, and oceans. Humans are no longer the rulers of the planet. Instead, dinosaurs control the land, sea, and sky. At first, life would be chaotic. Cities would be dangerous. Streets would be blocked by herds of plant eaters. Raptors would hunt in groups, sneaking into neighborhoods. Large predators like T-Rex or Spinoceros could destroy anything in their path, forcing humans to hide or flee. People would have to rethink everything: how we live, where we build, and even how we travel. Cars, planes, and trains might not be safe anymore. Some humans might try to fight back, using fences, weapons, and technology. But dinosaurs are not easy to control. They're strong, fast, smart, and wild. A single mistake, like leaving a gate open or underestimating a raptor's intelligence, could be dangerous. Even with modern technology, humans would always be at a disadvantage. So survival would become the most important thing. People might live in protected zones, with walls, nets, and towers to keep dinosaurs out. Farms would need giant enclosures, and cities might shrink, leaving much of the Earth open to dinosaur kingdoms. Humans would have to learn the dinosaurs' behavior, when they hunt, when they migrate, and when they rest. Understanding dinosaurs would be the key to survival. But not all dinosaurs would be enemies. Some might become allies. Remember how in previous what-ifs, the T-Rex could be a hero, or some hybrids could be trained. Humans might find ways to cooperate with certain dinosaurs, using them to carry supplies, protect settlements, or even help hunt dangerous predators. A clever human might ride a raptor scout through the forests, or work with a pteranodon to watch over an area. The world would change in other ways too. Oceans would be ruled by mosasaurs and plesiosaurs. Beaches would be dangerous. Islands might have large herds of dinosaurs living freely. Mountains and forests would be full of creatures humans had only seen in movies or museums. The balance of nature would shift dramatically. Humans would need to adapt or risk extinction. Children growing up in this world would know dinosaurs as part of daily life. School trips wouldn't be to zoos. They'd be to observation towers, watching herds of stegosaurs. Sports might happen inside protected domes instead of open fields. People might even have dinosaur companions, small, trained hybrids or gentle plant eaters that coexist with humans. But the biggest challenge would be understanding that humans are no longer the rulers. Dinosaurs are the top of the food chain. Respect would become essential. Humans couldn't take what they wanted anymore. Food, space, and water would all need to be shared carefully with creatures much stronger than themselves. Some humans might rebel, trying to reclaim the Earth. Others might accept it and learn to live in harmony. Either way, the planet would never be the same. Cities would shrink, nature would grow wild again, and humans would become just one species among many. In the end, this what if teaches a big lesson. Jurassic Park isn't just about bringing back dinosaurs for fun. It's about power, responsibility, and understanding nature. Dinosaurs were the rulers of the Earth millions of years ago, and in this story, they take it back. Humans must adapt, respect, and survive. It would be scary, exciting, and full of wonder. A world where dinosaurs are not just history, but the present and the future. And maybe, if humans are clever and careful, they could finally learn to live in a world ruled by dinosaurs. One where both humans and dinosaurs survive together, each respecting the other's power. Imagine walking through a giant gate, tall as a skyscraper, with the words Jurassic Park written across the top. Beyond the gate, you can hear strange animal sounds. Some are deep and rumbling like a lion's growl, while others are high-pitched like birds calling to each other. But these aren't lions or birds. They're dinosaurs. Huge, long-necked ones stretching up to nibble tree leaves, sharp-toothed hunters hiding in the bushes, and even armored ones with tails like swinging clubs. That's the world of Jurassic Park, a place where scientists brought dinosaurs back to life using tiny bits of DNA, the code inside every living thing. It's exciting, but also scary, because dinosaurs are wild, powerful, and not meant to live in our world anymore. Now, people who love Jurassic Park often wonder, what if? What if something different happened in the movies? What if the dinosaurs made other choices? What if the park had worked perfectly? Or if humans found a way to live with dinosaurs instead of fighting them? These are called the theories and what-if stories. They're fun to think about because they let us imagine new adventures with our favorite dinos. So, let's explore some of the most interesting what-if stories about Jurassic Park. First, imagine this. What if Jurassic Park never failed? In the movie, the power goes out, the fences break, and the dinosaurs escape. But what if none of that happened? What if the park stayed safe, with strong fences and careful keepers? Guests could ride in cars and see dinosaurs walking around, just like going to a zoo but a million times cooler. If Jurassic Park had stayed safe, kids might have gone there for school trips. Scientists could have studied the dinosaurs closely to learn how they really lived. Maybe we'd know exactly how T-Rex hunted, or how fast a velociraptor could run. Maybe we'd discover if some dinosaurs really had bright feathers like parrots. And maybe, just maybe, humans and dinosaurs could have learned to live side by side. But then we have to think, would the dinosaurs really stay calm? Imagine thousands of people coming every day, cheering and pointing. Some dinosaurs might get annoyed. A big T-Rex might roar and smash its fence, even if the park was well built. A raptor might figure out how to open doors, just like in the movie. Even in the best version of Jurassic Park, there's always a chance that something could go wrong. After all, dinosaurs aren't tame pets. They're wild animals from a different time. Here's another fun what if. What if the dinosaurs never went extinct millions of years ago? Imagine you wake up, put on your shoes, and walk outside, and there's a triceratops eating grass by your mailbox. You ride your bike to school, and on the way you pass a herd of stegosaurs stomping across the road. Your teacher has to stop class because a flock of flying pteranodons is circling the playground. If dinosaurs were still here, humans might have grown up with them, just like we did with cows, horses, and chickens. Some dinos might have become farm animals. Maybe people would ride heterosaurs instead of horses. Maybe small raptors would be like hunting dogs, helping people track food. But some dinosaurs, like T-Rex or Spinosaurus, would be too dangerous. Whole cities might have giant walls to keep them out. People might build machines to protect themselves from giant stomping feet. The whole world would look different, shaped not just by humans, but by dinosaurs too. Another what-if people love to think about is, what if the scientists in Jurassic Park brought back even more kinds of prehistoric animals? Dinosaurs weren't the only amazing creatures from long ago. There were giant flying reptiles, sea monsters with long necks and teeth like knives, and even giant insects the size of eagles. Imagine Jurassic Park having a huge aquarium with mosasaurs swimming around, snapping their jaws at fish, or a giant terrarium where dragonfly-sized bugs buzzed around, bigger than your hand. The park would be more like a whole prehistoric world, not just a dinosaur zoo. Of course, that could also be scarier. A giant sea monster could break out of its tank and head for the open ocean. A swarm of giant bugs could escape and take over the skies. Jurassic Park would be even harder to control. That's the fun part about these stories. Every what-if has two sides. On one side, you can imagine how amazing it would be, full of wonder and discovery. On the other side, you can see how dangerous it could get, with humans trying to control creatures that were never meant to live in our time. So when we think about Jurassic Park theories, we're really asking big questions. Can humans handle that much power? Could we live with dinosaurs, or would it always end in disaster? Would we respect them, or just try to use them for money and entertainment? The dinosaurs themselves don't care about our questions. They just live, eat, and survive. But imagining these what-ifs helps us see what might happen if humans ever got the chance to bring back something so big, so powerful, and so ancient. Now let's talk about raptors. Raptors are some of the smartest dinosaurs in the park. They're fast, clever, and work in groups. But what if they were even smarter than we thought? What if, instead of being like wolves, they were more like humans, or even smarter? If raptors were super smart, they wouldn't just hunt, they'd make plans. They could look at fences and figure out how to get past them. They might use sticks, rocks, or bones as tools. Imagine a raptor blocking a door with a branch, or climbing into buildings to find food. They could even learn to use machines. If humans noticed this, they might try to communicate with raptors, teaching them simple signs or sounds. But some raptors might decide they don't need humans at all. They could escape the island, spread across the world, and live as the smartest predators on Earth. Humans wouldn't be at the top anymore. They'd have to compete with creatures that are fast, strong, and clever. Now let's imagine a gentler what if. What if humans and dinosaurs learned to live together peacefully? Maybe scientists trained dinosaurs like dogs or horses. Kids could ride small stegosaurs to school, feed triceratops on farms, and watch raptors safely in observation towers. Cities would need bigger streets and tall buildings for long-necked dinosaurs. Humans would have to respect dinosaurs' strength, but coexistence could be possible. Some dinosaurs might even help humans. Pteranodons could deliver supplies, or raptors could scout forests. But humans would need rules, respect, and patience. Peaceful living would take time, but it could show a softer side of Jurassic Park, a world of teamwork and friendship, not just fear. And then there's the T-Rex. Usually terrifying, it could also be a hero. Imagine a T-Rex fighting raptors to save humans. It wouldn't be perfect, it's still wild, but it could protect people without meaning to. Visitors might watch it with awe, realizing that the king of dinosaurs could be a friend instead of an enemy. What if Jurassic Park was built today with modern technology? Fences could repair themselves, drones could track dinosaurs, AI could predict escapes, and robots could deliver food. Visitors could ride in armored cars or use virtual reality to explore the park safely, but even the smartest tech can't fully control dinosaurs. Mistakes, glitches, and wild instincts could always create danger. What if flying reptiles like pteranodons ruled the skies? Airports would be dangerous, cities would shrink, and humans would need protection from swooping predators. Some pteranodons might be trained as helpers, but most would remain wild. The skies would no longer belong to humans. They'd belong to creatures millions of years older. And then there's the T-Rex. Usually terrifying, it could also be a hero. Imagine a T-Rex fighting raptors to save humans. It wouldn't be perfect, it's still wild, but it could protect people without meaning to. Visitors might watch it with awe, realizing that the king of dinosaurs could be a friend instead of an enemy. What if Jurassic Park was built today with modern technology? Fences could repair themselves, drones could track dinosaurs, AI could predict escapes, and robots could deliver food. Visitors could ride in armored cars or use virtual reality to explore the park safely, but even the smartest tech can't fully control dinosaurs. Mistakes, glitches, and wild instincts could always create danger. What if flying reptiles like pteranodons ruled the skies? Airports would be dangerous, cities would shrink, and humans would need protection from swooping predators. Some pteranodons might be trained as helpers, but most would remain wild. The skies would no longer belong to humans. They'd belong to creatures millions of years older. Now, imagine dinosaurs escaping and evolving in today's world. Raptors could become smarter, T-Rex smaller and quicker, Triceratops eating modern crops, and dinosaurs developing feathers or hybrid traits. Over time, they could blend with modern animals, creating new, unpredictable creatures. Humans would have to adapt or risk being outsmarted and overpowered. And what if humans started creating hybrid dinosaurs on purpose? Combining DNA could make new creatures, some friendly, some terrifying. A T-Rex with raptor intelligence, or flying hybrids could be nearly unstoppable. Hybrids could escape, evolve, and change the world in ways humans can't control. It would be exciting, but dangerous. Finally, imagine a world where dinosaurs completely take back the Earth. Cities shrink, humans live in safe zones, oceans and skies belong to mosasaurs and pteranodons. Humans might cooperate with some dinosaurs, but we're no longer the rulers. Kids grow up knowing dinosaurs as part of life. Survival depends on understanding them, respecting them, and learning to coexist. The Earth is no longer ours alone. It belongs to creatures older, stronger, and wilder than humans. And maybe, just maybe, if humans are clever and careful, we could live in a world ruled by dinosaurs, learning from them, respecting them, and sharing the planet in a way that's never been done before. Jurassic Park wouldn't just be a story anymore. It would be the new reality.
Back when the first Jurassic Park was imagined, the scientists had fences, cameras, and computers, but the technology wasn't as advanced as what we have now. That's why the park failed. The power went out, the fences shut down, and the dinosaurs escaped. But what if Jurassic Park was built today, using all the modern technology we have right now? Would it finally work? Would the dinosaurs stay safe? And would the people stay safe too? Let's imagine that. First, the fences. In the old park, they used electric fences to keep dinosaurs inside. But today, we have way stronger materials. There are smart metals and even energy shields being tested. Imagine fences that can repair themselves when broken, or invisible force fields that stop a dinosaur from getting through. A T-Rex could smash against it as hard as it wanted, and the fence would stay strong. Next, the cameras. In the old park, the cameras were simple, and sometimes they didn't even work. But today, we have drones, satellites, and heat sensors. That means every dinosaur could be tracked every second of the day. Scientists could see exactly where the raptors were hiding, how fast the gallimimus were running, and even when a dinosaur was starting to get sick. With drones flying above, humans wouldn't have to walk into dangerous areas at all. They could watch the dinosaurs from a safe distance. And then, there's artificial intelligence. Computers today are so much smarter than they used to be. And AI could control the whole park, checking the fences, feeding the dinosaurs, and alerting humans when something was wrong. It could even learn the behavior of each dinosaur, predicting when one might try to escape. Imagine an AI saying, "Warning, the raptors are testing the gate again. Sending drones now." Humans wouldn't have to guess. They'd know right away. Feeding the dinosaurs would also be easier. Instead of humans driving into the park with goats and cows, robots could deliver the food automatically. Machines could even grow plants quickly for the plant-eating dinosaurs. That way, the animals would never go hungry, and humans wouldn't have to risk getting too close. Now, let's think about the visitors. In the old Jurassic Park, guests rode in cars along tracks, but the fences broke and the cars stopped working. If the park was built today, visitors could ride in self-driving cars powered by solar energy. They'd be tough like tanks, with bulletproof glass that even a T-Rex couldn't smash. Or maybe visitors wouldn't even go near the dinosaurs at all. They could wear virtual reality headsets and see everything through drones, as if they were flying above the island themselves. It sounds amazing, right? With all this modern technology, Jurassic Park might actually work. People could finally see real dinosaurs without all the danger. But here's the big question: would it still be safe? Because no matter how advanced technology gets, there's always the chance of something going wrong. Computers can glitch, robots can break, hackers could even take over the system and shut everything down, just like in the first movie. And dinosaurs, no matter how carefully you watch them, are still wild animals. They don't follow human rules. Imagine the park's AI predicts that the T-Rex will walk toward its feeding station, but instead, it suddenly decides to run in the opposite direction, crashing through the trees. Or picture a drone flying over a raptor, and the raptor leaps into the air and snatches it, learning that the drones can be destroyed. Technology might make the park safer, but it might also make dinosaurs smarter by accident. And what about the people? Even if the park was safe, would humans use it wisely? Some visitors might tease or annoy the dinosaurs, throwing things at them. Others might try to sneak into dangerous zones just for fun. Technology can stop a lot of problems, but it can't stop people from making bad choices. So if Jurassic Park was built today, it might last longer. It might even be successful for a while. But deep down, the same question remains. Should humans even bring dinosaurs back? Just because we have the power doesn't mean it's the right choice. Technology can solve many problems, but it can't change the fact that dinosaurs don't belong in our world. That's what makes this what if so interesting. Maybe Jurassic Park would be safer with modern tech. Maybe it would even amaze millions of visitors. But at the end of the day, the park might still fail, not because of weak fences or broken computers, but because dinosaurs are too wild, too powerful, and too ancient to ever be fully controlled.